Yo, I'm Matt Forio, and this is Chisel This. Here it is, the final epic rap battles of history. Or is it? I don't know. Or do I? I don't. But today we'll dive into what this rap battle really means for the series as a whole, and try to decode once and for all whether or not this really is the end of epic rap battles of history. This is the second rap battle where the creators of the series, Nice Peter and EpicLLOYD, face off. So much has changed. So much has been added, and so much has been removed. For example, an absence of memorabilia such as Pete's sunglasses is representative of evolution. There's no heroine reference. Psst, Lloyd, next time we need a girl battle, we'll make you the heroine. Maybe they'll like it then. Whereas Lloyd's beret still being on his cap are indicative of their roots, showing these are still the same people behind the magic all these years. Now, this isn't a thematic battle that brings back elements of ERB in an obvious way. We do get some of that though. There's the infamous Batman references. Pete is wearing one of his shirts derived from his old picture songs, which you should really start doing again, by the way, just a suggestion. And most obviously, backgrounds from older battles make an appearance. Those backgrounds were once home to characters like Edison, Tesla, Rick Grimes, Walter White, Mozart, Skrillex, Houdini, Copperfield, Stan Lee, Jim Henson, Bob Ross, Picasso, Dumbledore, Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, Hitler, Vader, George R.R. Martin, J.R.R. Tolkien. They picked out some of their favorites. But of course, there's the things that we miss. And there's no returning character cameos. Well, maybe Houdini. Maybe I would have liked to see past characters dancing behind Lloyd and Pete, maybe in their respective home backgrounds. Overall, it makes this battle not feel cumulative. It doesn't really feel like a culmination of all 6 years of epic rap battles of history. Rather, it's a fresh take on the side of ERB that the normal audience doesn't get to see. I did get to see some of it, and I'll share with you how I resonate with some of the issues that they prescribe in their disses. In the first battle, they brought back characters. In the second battle, they bring back backgrounds. But this battle is not like the first, where it was Pete's characters versus Lloyd's characters. They are definitively their own characters now. And the content of this rap battle is mostly not about things that we know. Rather, it's content that we are now being exposed to or enlightened by. As we move along, I will be discussing the tropes and tribulations of content creation that this battle dwells on, giving perspective on what their process is, and also using examples from my own process. What it all boils down to is an epic rap battle about how hard it is to make an epic rap battle. And you see this starting in the beginning. There's even some rhyming involved to set the stage for when they start rapping.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being annoying? Because you said we'd be done at 10 and 4 in the morning.
But there's no title card and there's no announcer. And that's really representative of what these battles look like from the other side of the glass. As a viewer, the first thing that you ever experience in a new ERB is the excitement of the title cards and announcer. But that's one of the last things done by the staff. Everything starts with a concept or idea. Then they have to materialize it. Plan it, write it, storyboard it, record it, film it, edit it. You get the idea. But here they give us a glimpse of the unglamorous part of the process. The tedious part. This is after the creativity was poured out, all the talent was already recorded, but now it has to get pieced together. And some of that process is fun, I won't lie. But there comes a point where it just might not be working. Or there's clashing ideas between multiple people. Doing group project is a double-edged sword. While you have more brain power to absorb, you also have to answer to more brains. The brainchild that is a rap battle fosters the DNA of multiple parents now, and you cannot hog it from them. That's challenging, I can tell. Even in this latest where we have a backseat editor in the character of Lloyd trying to help Peter edit the audio. But when you're the one on that computer and not standing behind it, your mind is elsewhere. You're invested in all of the steps needed to get to where you want to go. And it's jarring to have someone else calling different shots behind you. Imagine counting to 10 and your friends yelling out 47, 85, 194. You'll lose track. You'll forget where you are. I'm the type of person that needs to be left alone when I'm exploring the possibilities to reach perfection in any creative project. It seems Peter might be that person as well. And we don't mean to be mean or sound like a jerk in the process. But what Lloyd does here is like prying the brain out of REM sleep. Do you ever get woken up out of REM sleep and you just have no idea where you are? This interrupts the stages in your brain to get from point A to point B, and you become flustered. It's exactly what happens here. And in this scenario, it just triggers this mental outburst where every bad thought is heightened and unleashed by the sheer force of that mental riptide. It's the catalyst that sparks this rap battle. And it's good to see a rap battle where they give it reason, they give it motive. It doesn't just start out of thin air. There's a reason that this rap battle begins. There's also a reason it ends. There are times where you're doing a piece of creative work and it just drains time. Time escapes you. It is but a figment of your imagination. Hours go by. And before we know it, we have usurped countless hours of unanswered priorities just by this creative investment. Listen to Peter explain this.
I don't know how to say this, but you know what? Fuck it. Let me just fucking say it.
I'm fucking burnt out, man. It's been 6 years every day that I wake up and come to work to look at your hungover face. I need some personal space to get away from you screaming, but every time I turn my back, motherfucker, you start scheming.
All right, before we continue, I just want to get this out of the way. What you're experiencing when you watch this rap battle is not really conventional rap. Sure, the lines rhyme and whatnot, but what you're seeing is an occupation of real estate with what they want to say to each other. It sounds like you're hearing their stream of consciousness crammed onto the beat. It's just stuff they want to get off their chests, you know? A plurality of these disses are not formatted in a lyrical blender. It's what you would hear if somebody was making an argument against you. As you will come to know in my next tutorial episode of Chisel This, the art of rapping and the art of making an argument are very similar. But one has a creative veil over it and the other is just the core argument. We're seeing more of the core argument in this one. Normally, I would recommend that you take all of these things and then you format them into a creative and lyrical way to describe them. But they're going more for that direct message here. This is what is wrong with you. These are all the things that I wish I said to you. And that's 6 years of bottled up emotions. It's just going to come out like that. And that's why the message here is clearer than most. It's not shrouded beneath a veil of meticulous lyrical and word choices. I'm not saying this makes me dislike the battle, but it's the source of its inherent serious tone. And there's less lighthearted punchlines. I wanted to make the distinction of where it works and where it doesn't, because I see people all the time writing an essay on the differences between the characters and then cramming that down the throat of the instrumental with no creative aspect whatsoever. It's like, no, that's what you want to say. That's not how you say it. There is a strict difference when you're rapping between what you want to say and how you say it. It's art, it's poetry, it's lyricism. This battle could have easily slipped into that. It might have a little bit, but I think for the purpose of individuals rapping as themselves and getting things off of their chest, makes it feel like it's more of a rap bro fist fight. No way would I let that slide in a character-based rap battle. One thing I am a little wary about is the amount of profanity. Before he starts rapping, Pete says the F word 3 times within 3 seconds.
You know what? Let me just say it.
I'm fucking burnt out, man.
There's a point where curse words can be effective. Maybe they rhyme or they have a double meaning.
Erection jokes, dude. Your whole name means dick.
But I don't like seeing them becoming a crutch. Pete curses 9 times in the 30 seconds that his first verse runs on for.
You know what? Let me just say it.
I'm fucking burnt out, man. I turn my back, motherfucker. You start scheming to take over control of some I'm already doing, trying to make art, motherfucker. I'm sorry, man. No, I'm fucking not you. Tonight I'm not quitting the battles. I'm quitting you.
Pete curses 12 times overall, and Lloyd curses 9 times overall. In just one verse, Pete curses as many times as Lloyd does the entire battle. But then you think of it the other way, he only curses a total of 12 times, so he only curses 3 more times throughout the rest of the battle. So you have to take it in doses. You have to look at it and say, where is this effective and where is it not? Some of it is for emphasis, some of it is for syllable space. As somebody who makes a serious effort to remove curse words entirely from my lyrical vocabulary and tries to replace them by finding relevant filler syllables, it's a little jarring to hear so much of it in one place. But hey, freedom of speech. All the power to you. Maybe it's part of the character. I totally get that. It's a personal choice. It's just not something that I'm particularly a fan of. Because every time you curse in a rap, you're occupying space that could have added more density, more meaning, more flavor, more color, more imagery. Compare how substantive the first part of this rap battle is to the middle part where Pete doesn't curse at all. Of course it works sometimes, especially in this format when they're supposed to be angry. Just calling it like I hear it. Happy I got that out of the way. Now let's analyze the rest of the battle.
I need some personal space to get away from you.
While Pete's complaining, the rest of the crew almost robotically executes their job. while the creator deals with the mental anguish, of course. Notice how it's also timed perfectly that all of the monitors turn on exactly when you see them front and center on the camera. A lot of planning has to go into a one-take shot like that. And when you listen to what Pete's saying, it's not like you don't have any sympathy for Lloyd.
Every time I turn my back, motherfucker, you start scheming to take over control of some shit I'm already doing just fine.
He's just trying to help. But at the same time, you see a hierarchy of the process cast a shadow over your amount of influence. And you might have an idea that is just so good to you, but maybe others find it lackluster or not worth the effort, or maybe it combats with their own ideas. Then Pete brings up another good point, a clash in ideology.
Trying to take our little baby in a creative direction. I'm trying to make art, motherfucker. You're trying to find a rock for a rap shit.
Through my time talking with Nice Peter, he was very humbled and gracious to the way that I perceived the artwork that is Epic Rap Battles of History. We shared this passion and both wanted to dive deeper into this art form, but there is a side of it that has to be entertainment, and I learned in such an important way how to accept and concede to that side of it. Pete always made sure to thank me and reassure me of how much of a great job I was doing for what it was worth. And I think that Peter might side with the artistic value in ERB like I do, whereas Lloyd sides with the entertainment side. Being a comedian, he might gravitate towards more gag humor or other comedic rituals. But the balance of that is what makes ERB a class act. And there's only a balance because both sides of the scale are so weighted heavy. Neither outweighs the other, and that's what makes this duo dynamic. It goes without saying that every time there's a new idea, there's a blank slate for creativity. There's going to be different visions to accommodate. I think the blend that they wind up with almost every time is exactly why ERB is such quality content.
Second class, that's why I let you run the ERB2!
The ERB2 reference is one of those given disses, one of the first ones you come up with, an easy way that you're on top of your opponent. You want to make sure you slide them in the middle, just to pack your verse with meat. Enough meat to make sure that your argument is valid.
Tonight I'm not quitting the battles, bitch, I'm quitting you!
Here we have a throwback to the way the original battle ended.
Fuck the rap battles and you, I quit!
Setting the stage for this battle to take that rivalry further, beyond that point. Pete quitting was the climax of the first battle, but he spins that onto Lloyd himself. And that makes the brain expect something bigger out of the sequel's climax, now that the original climax has been reiterated and altered to a more trivial state, being placed in a different area of the rap battle. In both battles, the second verse starts immediately with a rebuttal.
But remember, you got famous off of my idea. The battles were your idea to start with, that's no lie. Tonight I'm not quitting the battles, bitch, I'm quitting you! Quit me then, you pussy, we'll see what happens. I'll sit back and watch you unravel and revel in pure satisfaction.
Lloyd wants to show dominance here by doing this non-stop, smooth rap flow, and he calls Pete out for what he might be missing about himself and his criticism of Lloyd. He's telling him, you're not all high and mighty, you're not immaculate, you're not perfect.
I'm out of compassion for you and your self-righteous bullshit.
So I'm done with it, and you're a hypocrite.
Erection jokes, dude, your whole name means dick.
And it's so funny to bring up Nice Peter, Nice Peter, because Lloyd is complaining about Peter finding fault in him for making erection jokes, and he does it by making an erection joke. So nothing's changed.
Sick of smoothing things out, the same routine. ERB2 is right, I'm covering your ass behind the scene.
Here, Lloyd is exposing us to the idea that maybe Peter slacks off a little bit or fell short of the mark in the production process, and Lloyd is forced to take the role of a sidekick in cleaning up after him. And he's sick of being the sidekick. He wants to be the
heroine. And then I try to tell you things, but you're too stubborn to understand. Like, dude, that is not a cool way to play Batman.
The Batman line is really powerful. He looks kind of mean when he says it. You feel like there's some kind of vitriol there. A lot of fans didn't like the way Batman was portrayed. I mean, I didn't think Batman was that bad. Sorry. But this says more than just that. Sometimes you have a vision in your head, so impeccable, so impervious to fault, and then somebody else finds flaw in that, and you have such a hard time letting that criticism penetrate the wall you build around that idea in your brain. It's worth listening to, but Lloyd is suggesting that Pete does the exact opposite. And fans realize the same thing that Lloyd did when it was too late for Peter to go back and fix it.
Manipulate your friends and then you throw them away. I don't know who you shit on worse, myself or Dante.
Lloyd starts to get personal here, and we see that theme come back around in the next verses. I don't want to pretend like I know all their problems, I really don't, but the verbiage in each of these character flaw disses is very obvious, blatant, and self-aware, and shouldn't really require any further deconstruction.
So quit eating up my time, pick up one of your fancy thoughts and make a fucking a decision so all these people can leave. Excuse me for interrupting Rocket League and smoking weed.
I know what it's like to dwell on details. It's a part of the brain that says, I'm going to show this to the world, and I have a chance to influence the way that it looks in the end. I want it to be the best it can possibly be. And if there's something that I don't like now, I can't fix it once it uploads. So there's a drive to insert yourself into the hands of others and try to change things that maybe somebody else likes. This sinks content creators into a time swamp of nitpicking. And maybe it's okay when you're working alone. But as Lloyd pointed out, there are employees that are waiting on Pete's decisions.
They got places to be, and now they're looking at me. Nice Diva is my new name for you, Nice Pete.
His actions influence the rest of the crew from the top down, and Lloyd deems this behavior worthy of the title Nice Diva, which is a type of diss that I wish this battle saw more of. That's a perfect example of taking all the things that Lloyd described and funneling it into one creative diss. Of course, the rest of the things were worth saying in this scenario, but that capitalizes on all of it. That's one line, says it all. I just want to make clear that nothing I describe in this analysis is an accusation. Rather, it's just an interpretation of what they're actually saying in the rap battle. I don't know enough to say that this kind of behavior actually happens, as the diss rap genre is curated by exaggeration and hyperbole. I'm just taking it for what it says.
And doink.
Pete uses childish onomatopoeia to trivialize all of Lloyd's prior points. It's like they bounce right off.
Nice punchline, bro.
Your jokes haven't grown since you told them in a lunch line, bro.
As if Lloyd is a child whose maturity and jokes have neither grown together with his age.
An 8-year-old boy stuck inside of whatever your old man.
Turns the personal disses by remarking on Lloyd's personal career.
Look at me, I'm EpicLLOYD. Check me out, I can't rap about my problems instead of solving them. You wanna heal, you gotta deal with your issues, cause the bottle's not stopping them.
Where his YouTube channel consists of many raps that unfold as a coping mechanism, or tales of trials and tribulations. Now, I can't vouch for the accusations of substance use, but apparently the drive to make creative content can push some people into binging on certain vices like alcohol or video games as a way to clear the mind. I don't do that. I don't even drink caffeine, let alone touch any kind of stimulative substance. And I have no desire to, ever. As a content creator, when something isn't turning out the way I envision, I either backpedal a little bit and try to build it again, or I just stop working on it and come back to it later. There's no use in forcing content that you can make better with a different state of mind, and that is not an encouragement to purposefully alter your state of mind with any kind of stimulative substance. I do love how Pete makes fun of Lloyd's height in the background with the Apple box. Lloyd needing this crate to stand on is really something that they only know behind the scenes. So it's a cherished memory for them. It's a virtual keepsake, and a jab at something they'll never forget having to deal with when making all of the ERBs.
Right now you're on 2 beers and a pill and a half of Adderall. And that makes you obsessive and then you fuck up all the funds. Why don't you trust the editors and stop changing their shit after they're done?
It must be hard for editors to watch their creative parents fight, but even harder to have their work altered by them. And I know sometimes you put your ideas in the hands of others, and they don't reach the creative potential that you envisioned. You would have to find that balance between suggesting revisions and completely stealing the wheel to get what you ultimately desire.
We're so cheap, we can hire some editors that do good work. Who do you think just... Oh, that's real funny, Andrew. Aw, come on. What the fuck did I do?
This is so much fun to watch unfold because they manipulate time as if the editors were editing in real time as they're acting, and it gives the editors some fun to have as well. But it's also indicative of the struggle that I just described. Maybe it's the editor saying, screw it, you don't like this cut? Well, how do you like your hand now? And then it gets to my personal favorite part.
Aw, come on. What the fuck did I do? Who the fuck left the target?
I know it's blasphemous for me to show my reaction. I didn't want to, but everybody asked me to record a reaction to what might be the final rap battle. I will put a link in the description. Note that I look very weird when I'm watching things. Okay, so ERB gets their beats from different companies, and they normally exist before the rap battle, so they're not created uniquely for them. Sometimes they are, but most of the time they're not. This means you can go to the website of the beat producer and get a lease or purchase a license to use that instrumental. If you don't do either of those, you have to listen to the beat with what is called a tag. It's an audible watermark that
Fuyo Productions, chisel this.
That protects the creator from having their work used in a way that they don't intend. Normally, you'll want to test out the beat before buying it, so you'll get that version with the tag and you'll write and rap over that, and then when you're ready to finalize the track and mix it all down, you're going to purchase the beat and you're gonna get what they call stems, which is an individual track for every single instrument or sound used in the production. Then you can manipulate, you can add or remove them, change the volume, alter the mix to fit the emotional roller coaster tides of the rap battle.
I'm trying to make art, motherfucker. You're trying to find a rock for a rap shit. Sorry, man. No, I'm fucking not. Fuck you.
And that's why they ask to put the little thing in the background, like a hi-hat, and they actually add it in there when they ask.
Hey, all around, can you put the, and the little,
It's so true, because when I work with my producer, Kevin Crust, and when he's mixing my instrumentals, I always say, can you turn down the little thing, or can you turn down the synth thing, or like, it's always some kind of abstract idea. I never call it by its name. And it's so funny, because that's exactly how you work when you're working on a project like that. It's always like the quickest way to say something that's possible. You just want to get it out. And you're hoping the person you're working with automatically uses telepathy to know what you're talking about. And that's why they start fighting in the beginning, because that telepathy wasn't quite there. So they're taking you through a portal into this process, but also making a creative documentation of the little things that they used to do, as to never forget those cherished moments.
Thanks. Yeah.
Notice how the beat stops, and they give a nod to the last battle between the two of them with the template. This silence really speaks volumes. You build up all this mayhem. No, I want to do this. No, I want to do this. It's my creation. Well, it's my joke. I want to blend everything together. And you have these ideas clashing with each other. And you suddenly realize, while they are struggling and fighting and working and pouring out their hearts and minds into these videos, you, the viewer, are only giving a view, maybe giving a like. In the end, that's what all that hard work and dedication results in tangibly. Now, who would have thought that something like ERB can spark a series that I make and the way that people now think about rap as a genre? Of course, it has stimulated much more thought beyond that. But what pays the bills? What keeps the series going? What keeps them employed? The views, the like, and ultimately that's what they have to ensure in order to keep making more.
Thanks. Yeah.
And some people really only give the view and the like. Not everybody is like me, where I spend hours writing and talking to you about these things. So they have to ask themselves, is this fighting really worth it? Do we want to make something for us, or do we want to make something just to get that view and that like? These are the real questions, and I think that the answer that they chose throughout the entire lifespan so far of this series has been clear.
We're cool, guys? Yeah. I guess so.
Okay, I got the card.
Did you count through?
Can you hit your mark? Here we go. And action.
You get back into the lab with a really creative virtual fist bump. And this demonstrates how hectic it can be sometimes, how everybody has a specific job. And yeah, you can put all this work into it, write it, record it, all the creative input. But if you don't press record, you don't get that footage. But if you don't dump that card, you don't keep that footage. And if you don't have someone calling the shots, you slip into cacophony. They use this duality between each other as a segue from the fighting into the eventual reconciliation. And if you notice, they pan and adjust the volume of whoever is the focal point on screen.
Yo, I guess what I'm saying, man, is I'm running out of patience, man. I'm a patient man, but sometimes you need to be on my life, man. It's the same shit that I was dealing with at the very beginning.
You see them struggling to do their own thing, but yet devoting all their time to working with each other on the flip side of the clock. All in all, somehow, the bickering, the fighting, the disagreements, it gives motive. It gives incentive, a reason to do better, a person to help be better, and a person to be better than, a companionship and a rivalry. And the good outweighs the bad. This is ultimately realized by the way their voices dovetail into each other, and they wind up saying the same last line together.
You bitches keep my wheels spinning!
That was weird.
Yep.
It ends. We get another gag out of Batman.
Sorry about some of the things that I said.
I'm sorry about the way you played Batman.
And they go on to do what they love, writing songs.
You wanna write a song?
Yeah, dude.
Even though it drains so much of us, as soon as we get a break from it, the first thing we want to do is do more of it. It shows that this isn't just working. It's a passion. It's a lifestyle. And I feel the same way about it. I truly wish the both of you and the rest of the crew the best of luck in the future. And I encourage you both, Pete and Lloyd, to go back to making original music. You know, like you used to. If you need a chiseler, you know where to find me.
Okay.
Now, what happens? Why didn't Kassem come riding down on a winged beast to save the rap battles? Is it actually over? The way this battle ends is rather quick and painless. They don't dwell on the magnitude of the series. They just say they need a break. This does two things. One, should it not be the end, hey, we just took a break and we're back. Two, should it be the end, it gives closure to the saga of our beloved duo, Pete and Lloyd, as they run off in the distance to make music together for the rest of eternity.
You wanna write a song?
Yeah, dude.
It's almost like they didn't write what they just rapped. It just kind of happened. It was a spur of the moment. And that's where the idea of stream of consciousness lyricism comes from. And now that that weight is off their shoulders, they feel free and inspired to make original content without the burden of an ever-demanding fan base. This is open to interpretation. My interpretation is that this is a big, fat the end with an even fatter question mark on the end of it. The last 6 years, they have devoted their lives to making content for us. I started rapping because of this series. I was a freshman in high school. I thought it was so cool. You don't even know who you can inspire. But you have to do things for yourself sometimes. They did this battle for themselves. It's their closure. And it gives them the self-made excuse, rather mandate, to go back to making original music. You know, like they used to. I hope it's what they do, because it's going to be what I do. So going back to my prediction, and just so you know, I'm calling this right now. Season 5 opened with a closed book. Season 5 will end with a closed book. Would Season 5 end in a closed book? I'd say it did, but they left a bookmark. You decide. I'm Matt Forio, and that's all for today. If I beat you once already, how's the sequel ending well? Lloyd walked in this battle already rocking double L's. What can you expect from this channel now? It's grind time, baby. 4 things. Maybe top 5, bottom 5 ERBs, if you really want it. 1, more Chisel-less episodes about a broader array of content. Other internet series like Princess Rap Battles, Bart Baker, Getting Chiseled, fan-made rap battles being partially reacted to and chiseled, but not entirely. Maybe even current events. 2, more Chisel-less tutorials about how to rap and write. Numerous ways, group in its place, cooped in a cage, neutered and spayed. I'm basically writing a book in video form to share with you the process that I've developed in rapping and writing. So far, I have planned episodes about storytelling and elocution. If you have any other requests, just leave them in the comments. Maybe I'll even do a Q&A in the future. 3, a brand new album, all regular rap songs, through which I will tell unique stories and philosophies. You might even see the first single this week, next week, the week after. It's called Foreignology, expect it this year. And 4, I have a very special offer for all you dedicated chiselers. If you log on to my Patreon page, you'll find the Chiselers School, where you can receive personal training from me if you decide to patronize my work. And the album can really only be made if I have financial support. So who's to say you won't receive a special gift or reward if you help me fund my album? You would be supporting a moral message, a brand new philosophy that would enlighten so many people of a different audience. And by enrolling in the Chiseler School, you can have direct contact with me. You can receive demos of my work as I make it. And you can also send me your work for individual suggestions and or revisions. I can only help so many of you at a time. This would not only help me help you, but it would allow me to keep making videos throughout college and hopefully beyond. Let's make a world of lyrical art together. I'm Matt Forio, and that's all for today.